Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Thursday, March 2. I am Abigail Smythe. Among the stories in this evening's newscast, 10 of 26 defendants in one Don Klansman gang trial found not guilty. Man stabbed to death and his brother on the run. JDF soldier shot and killed while operating taxi in Pepin. Marella Cruises confirms it will not be offering cruise-only holidays out of Jamaica for non-UK residents. Opposition raises concern about Cannabis Licensing Authority approving importation of cannabis from Canada. In business, motorists paying a little less at the pumps. In the region, Barbados looking at economic transformation through oil and gas discoveries. Further overseas, United Nations warns of grave risks to millions of children in parts of Syria. And in sports, cash prize up for grabs at GC Foster Classic Track and Field meet.
Teach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. 10 of the remaining 26 defendants in the One Don Klansman gang trial have been found not guilty on 3 counts on the indictment. Chief Justice Brian Sykes gave the verdict on Thursday in the Supreme Court. Andre Bryan, Jazeel Blake, Andre Golding, and Tariq James have been cleared in relation to the murder of a bus driver in November 2017. Daniel Mackenzie, brothers Pete and Markham Miller, Dwight Hall, and Kemar Harrison were acquitted of facilitating the murders of 2 men in St. Catherine in 2017. Markham Miller, Chevroy Evans, and Andre Golding have been acquitted in relation to a February 2018 murder. On the other hand, the convicted Klansman gang leader Andre Blackman Bryan and 2 of his co-accused have been found guilty of facilitating the commission of a serious offense of murder. Bryan, the defendants Brian Morris and Michael Whiteley have been found guilty of the killing of an unknown Rastaman in Jones Avenue, Spanish Town on January 14, 2018. A man was stabbed to death and his brother now on the run following an incident in Newport, Manchester Thursday morning. The deceased has been identified as 21-year-old Ricardo Williams, a resident of the community. Police report that shortly after 8 o'clock, the 2 men had an argument about a pair of shoes. The police say the argument turned into a fight during which a knife was used to stab Williams in the region of his chest. He was taken to the Mandeville Regional Hospital where he succumbed to the injury. His brother has since fled and is being sought by the police. A Jamaica Defense Force soldier was shot and killed while operating a taxi in the Pepin area of St. Andrew Wednesday night. The police confirmed that the deceased soldier, 46-year-old Dane Simon of Spanish Town, St. Catherine, was traveling along Rocky Road around 9:30 when he was shot in the back of the head. Head of the St. Andrew Central Police Division, Senior Superintendent Marlon Nesbeth, says the police suspect that Simon was shot by someone in the car as there were several persons in the car with him. He notes that an investigation has already commenced to find the perpetrators. An 11-year-old boy is dead and his 13-year-old cousin nursing injuries following a motorcycle accident in St. Mary on Wednesday. According to the Aracabessa police, the boys were traveling on a motorcycle along the Fontabelle Main Road towards the Crescent Main Road where they both reside when the cycle hit a cow. Both were taken to the Port Maria Hospital where the younger boy died. He has been identified as Javoni Smith, a student of Freehill Primary School. His cousin, a student of the Wycliffe Martin School, was still in hospital up to Thursday morning. People's National Party PNP councillor for the Islington Division in St. Mary, Lincoln Dixon, has died. The 65-year-old died suddenly Thursday morning. It is understood that Dixon was at home when he complained of not feeling well. He was taken to the Anotabe Hospital where he later died. Dixon was a 2-term councillor for the Islington Division and the second youngest councillor to hold that position for the PNP. TUI UK that operates the Marella Cruises has confirmed that it will not be offering cruise-only holidays out of Jamaica for non-UK residents. The official word from TUI banning Jamaicans who are not UK residents follows advisories to cruise agents last week Tuesday about not admitting Jamaicans on its Marella Cruises. The advisory noted that 17 Jamaican nationals who were on the Marella Discover 2 had attempted to abscond in Belize last Monday. It said in total, 7 persons had absconded while some were returned by police to the ship. In its statement on Thursday, TUI explained that due to what it called operational restrictions beyond its control, they would be unable to offer cruise-only holidays out of Jamaica for non-UK residents. The operators noted that all Marella Cruise sailings are operating as planned, but they have been required to cancel a small number of individual bookings due to these new restrictions. The brief statement ended by apologizing to Jamaican customers for the disappointment caused and hoped to be able to restart selling cruises in Jamaica in the future. Opposition spokesman on industry, investment and commerce, Anthony Hilton, is raising concerns about the decision of the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, to approve the importation of cannabis from Canada into Jamaica. Hilton says he strongly opposes the decision, particularly because several attempts to legally export cannabis and cannabis products from Jamaica into Canadian market have been met with resistance, including trade barriers. He argues that the rationale for the decision should be fully explained to stakeholders in the local industry. In the meantime, Industry Minister Aubin Hill is defending the license granted to a Canadian firm to import cannabis into the country. The minister says the importation was within the letter of the law. Local cannabis players are also crying foul, citing the difficulties faced in getting their product overseas. Minister Hill states that the CLA has been more than accommodating to those seeking to export to Canada. He points out, however, that no local entity has sought a permit for exportation since 2020. The government is contemplating an increase in fares charged by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC. Transport Minister Audley Shaw says such an increase would have to be considered. He says JUTC will receive 70 additional buses to assist in rejuvenating its aging fleet. These will comprise a mixture of vehicles powered by diesel, electric, and liquefied natural gas. The JUTC has racked up billions of dollars in operational losses over the years, while simultaneously being unable to fully meet the needs of the traveling public. It's also been the beneficiary of significant government subsidies. Minister Shaw notes that the company has not received a fare increase in well over a decade. In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government remains committed to improving the public transportation sector in Jamaica. The government will be spending over $600 million to boost the JUTC's fleet. Prime Minister Holness says data gathered from the pilot testing of the first electric bus will determine the rollout of additional vehicles. And a security guard at the Kemps Hill High School in Clarendon had to rush to the aid of the school's Dean of Discipline, who got into a fight with a student. A video of the incident, which has been circulating on social media, shows the teacher and the student pushing and getting in each other's faces before they tussled to the ground. Other students looked on and laughed as the student got up in the teacher's face before the teacher pushed him away. He then attacked the teacher with punches, draped him, and pulled him to the ground. As they tussled, the security guard rushed in, and he and the teacher held the student to the ground. He then attacked the Dean of Discipline with punches, draped him, and pulled him to the ground. As they tussled, the security guard rushed in, and he and the Dean of Discipline held the student on the ground. The video ended as other students surrounded them and laughed. It is understood that the incident occurred on Tuesday. The school's principal and other members of staff declined to comment on the incident. In business, gas prices moved down on Thursday. E1087 moved down by $2.50 to sell for $165.51 per liter, and a liter of E1090 moved down by $3 to sell for $168.98. Automotive diesel oil is down by $1.16 per liter to sell for $200.37. Ultra low sulfur diesel is selling for $211.21 per liter, following a decrease of $1.05. The price of kerosene is up by 25 cents to sell for $210.29. In the meantime, propane cooking gas is up by $1.50 to sell for $71.76, while butane is up by $3.02, selling for $81.54 per liter. In the region, Barbados has given the strongest indication yet that it is looking at an economic transformation in the near future through commercial discoveries of oil and gas. Senior Barbadian Minister Kerry Simmons says the prospects of such a find have never been higher, as officials are confident that large deposits of hydrocarbons have been identified. Barbados has no major offshore discoveries, but for decades it has been producing about 1,600 barrels of oil per day from inland wells. Late last year, the government placed 22 offshore blocks on the international market for companies to bid on. On the international scene, the United Nations (UN) has warned of grave risks to 3.7 million children in parts of war-racked Syria affected by last month's earthquake. According to officials and medics, the February 6 quake that struck neighboring Turkey killed more than 50,000 people, including almost 6,000 in Syria. The UN says in Syria alone, at least 8.8 million people have been affected by the devastating quake. It cites the disaster's emotional and psychological impact, as well as the increased risk of disease and a lack of access to basic services for families left vulnerable by almost 12 years of conflict. The World Health Organization urged the international community to help earthquake-hit northwest Syria. The UN has launched a $397 million appeal to help quake victims in Syria, but the WHO says they are not getting as much as what is needed. Syria has also faced a deadly cholera outbreak that began last year. Since 2011, Syria's war has killed nearly 500,000 people and forced around half of the country's pre-war population from their homes. Many sought refuge in Turkey, including areas devastated by last month's earthquake. And finally, in sports, South Africa beat West Indies by 87 runs about 50 minutes before the scheduled close of the third day of their first test on Thursday at SuperSport Park. South Africa ended on 342, while the West Indies ended on 212. And a $100,000 cash prize for the 100 meters and sprint hurdles are among the major attractions at the 26th staging of the G.C. Foster Classic Track and Field Meet. The event will be held on March 11 at G.C. Foster College. Meet director Marlon Gale says there will also be an extra incentive for a world-leading performance in the 100 meters. Organizers have also decided to reward the top men's high jumper, given the improved quality of the performances in that event so far this season. The likes of World Championships gold and silver medalists Rashid Dwyer, Demish Gay, and Frederick Dakers, as well as Olympic silver medalist Sasha Lee Forbes, are expected to be among those in action. And that's it for your news roundup today. Please remember to like this video, leave a comment, and share the video with your family and your friends. I am Abigail Smythe. Have a good evening and see you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!